Ladies and gentlemen, welcome into the No Laying Up Golf Podcast. I am Randy. I am joined by Tron Carter and Cody McBride, and we are talking Chevron. It's Chevron. It's a major week on the LPGA Tour. Awesome tournament last year. But let's start here. Cody, how are you this morning, man? You were just telling us before we hit record you're a little chilly.
Very cold. I don't know what's going on with the air conditioning today in our house. It's only like 62 degrees outside, and my wife set the little thermostat on. I think it's like 66 degrees right now. I'm absolutely
Ooh.
freezing, bundled up in here, biggie. But I'm excited to talk Houston golf with you and our colleague TC. I know you guys are like the Houston experts in the No Laying Up squad, so I'm excited to break it down.
That's right. TC, it seems like just yesterday you and I were down at Champions for that US Women's Open. How are you doing?
H-Town. I'm good, man. I'm good. Always good to be talking about the space city.
hmm
Cody, I see you got. I would say if you're watching this on Spotify, great work getting our stuff up on Spotify.
Well, I don't think I'm going to put this
Uh,
one up on Spotify.
oh, okay.
I think that's
You
reserved for
got that
live
one.
shows, but this will be on YouTube, so all the people
Well,
watching on
I
YouTube.
saw this space. I saw the space logo on
Mhm.
there. So space gets me excited. Lots going on in space these days, and so it's perfect to be going down to Houston for the Chevron Championship. Although I found it pretty ironic last year that all that gas got siphoned out of the NBC broadcast truck
The
when
great
it's
petrol theft.
a petro company sponsoring the tournament. So
We can get into some of that. Speaking of space, speaking of Houston, speaking of rocket ships, Nelly Korda, guys, she is on a rocket ride, having won four straight starts for her, including three in her last 3 weeks on the LPGA Tour. She comes into this week the overwhelming favorite. We have a whole segment dedicated coming up with Justin Ray, just breaking down Nelly and putting her run in somewhat of a historical context and talking about what she's doing with her game that has led to this success this year. So we're gonna get there. Before we do, Code Man, let's knock out some sponsors. First up, our good friends at Yeti.
Yeah, you're talking leading us off there with Nelly and this incredible run that she's on. She's been, uber durable, playing in a lot of different weather conditions. She's clearly stood up to the test. Those maroon,
see what
maybe
you're doing.
burgundy, pants that she's been wearing because the weather's just been crazy. And you know what else stands up to the test all the time? Every product from our friends at Yeti, the presenting sponsor of all LPGA content for this here year 2024. Big thank you to them, of course. Doesn't matter if it's luggage, hard coolers, soft coolers, drinkware, dog beds, buckets, you name it. Chairs, luggage, they got it. Yeti has products that perform when it matters most. Everybody, please head over to yeti.com for their complete product line and more. I was doing a little dabbling on the website this morning. They have a great customizable section that is built out now for Mother's Day. I think that's the next big holiday coming up. People are interested. Please go on there. And we're finally working forward. We're gonna get some Yeti no laying up co-branded stuff in the pro shop. So be on the lookout for
Yeah.
that. Thank you to Yeti, not only for their support of our LPGA products, but of golf in general. We talked about it last show. They're announcing that their new partnership with the Caddy Network. They're sponsoring caddies both on PGA Tour, LPGA Tour. It's awesome to see. And again, check them out, Yeti.com. Biggie, what do we got?
Cody's got a personal sponsorship with Yeti on his packing cubes. Never seen
I
somebody rock packing cubes as hard as he does.
I
They're
was gonna
awesome.
say too. I feel like we got some Earth Day erasure there, with Mother's
Wow.
Day being the
What's
next
Earth?
holiday.
What's Earth Day?
Earth Day, Monday, April 22nd. Go play in a tree.
Well, that's what
Yes,
Arbor
thank you
Day
to
is for.
yeah, I think, hey, if you wanna play in a tree a couple times a year, I think that's good.
Cut them down. We don't need them.
Well, thank you very much. Thank you to our sponsors. As I mentioned before, guys, before we get into this Nelly segment and anything that we need to talk about, TC, we didn't really get your reaction. What are you feeling right now?
Listen, as a fan of the game, I'm pro Nelly. I'm rooting for it. She's earning the title. We talked about it a little bit on the Sunday recap this past Sunday after she won. And it was just, yeah, very much kind of putting her money where her mouth is and rising to the occasion and stacking up more wins than she's had the last 3 or 4 years combined. So, I think and it sounds like Nelly's never really wanted to be crowned either. Like she
Yeah.
wants to earn it and she wants to go take the title and just play golf and compete instead of being anointed this next big thing or all that. She's 25 now. Winning 4 starts in a row is heady stuff. So, keen to see if she can keep it going. And I keep saying keen in all of our
It's a lot.
podcasts. People are
And
people are all over me. It's because I got Joaquin Neiman on the brain, man.
it's an easy
That's a
word
good
too,
word.
that once it gets in your brain, the people that are on the podcast with you start picking it up. And I think that's where it's not just you. I know exactly what show you're talking about because Solly picked it up and he said Keen probably like 5 or 6 of those episodes.
Hate that.
So you don't have to carry the weight of that just on your shoulders, TC. All right.
We
Yeah, I think of Houston, Biggie. I think it's somebody very famous, proud to represent Houston, Texas. That's obviously my girl Beyonce, and I believe
of course.
she had a lyric in one of her
Oh, no.
songs said, "Y'all haters corny with that." All right, TC, y'all been corny with this hate for Nelly. You doubted her at the beginning of the year. It's the year of Nelly Korda. I'm not going to stand by this slander and you
I just
skirting out of this.
effusively praised her.
That is not enough. You can't flip it now because you have, probably rightfully so, had very lofty expectations for her. And I think a lot of that is very young phenom, did not decide to go to college, came out, and she's just kind of been thrown at us from a lot of brands that we are supported by as well. And it took a long time, and I wonder if that is, like, her golf game maturing? Is that Nelly maturing? Or is that just is it finally just happening where both of those are coming together?
Well, not to answer for TC, but I would even sprinkle on full health too,
I was gonna
right?
say
It could
health's a
be
skill.
it,
Yeah.
it could be all of those things.
Yeah, I would say, I mean, Cody, it's not that I like didn't like Nelly or didn't. I just felt that the expectations didn't match the production. She'd won 8 times prior to this year, turned pro in 2018. So we're one major.
Which is a disappointment, I'll say that.
Totally. So that's where I've been coming from, and it's more like, hey, let's talk about the people who are winning. But I think part of it was on the LPGA tour. There's been so much parity,
Yep.
right? And there hasn't been anybody ascend to that kind of superstar throne. So they've almost had to create some. And I think this year, even beyond Nelly, I think you look at how Lydia's played. She's got 3 top 10s, 1 win. You look at Patty. Uh, Leona's starting to play well again. Celine keeps playing well. Like there's consistent names. There's consistency at the top as far as the stars are actually playing like stars consistently for the first time in really the last 3 or 4 years. I think it seems like it's like kind of what needs to happen on the PGA Tour really right now
Right.
too.
I think
Yeah.
the you're right on the parody of the LPGA Tour. I think it's kind of weird. I went back and tried to think of, like, okay, why was it Nelly? And you're like, okay, obviously we're looking for a kind of an American superstar to come and take this place. And I'm like, but where was the vacuum kind of created? And it wasn't even just on the American side. I think it was on the LPGA Tour as a whole. And you saw the, like, when MB kind of got at the end of her run, there's really been no player since her that's like, "Yep, this is it. Like, I own this." And I think it doesn't matter where you're at, like, that's what we've been searching for.
And I would just say, like, it was a little strange because Jin Young Ko flashed like elite world class ability, but the thing
High
missing
level
was
traits.
Yep.
was she wasn't necessarily doing it in the majors, which are the biggest weeks of the year. So Nelly hasn't done that yet this year, and I think that's part of what makes obviously the Chevron and will make all of the majors this year that much more interesting. But yeah, I totally agree with both of you guys.
And Nelly played well here last year, right? I
Yeah.
mean, I'm sure you'll get into it with Justin, but solo third here last year. Like this was Chevron last year was a banger of a tournament. Felt like, truly, all right, this is it didn't necessarily feel like it. The vibe on site felt a little muted, and coverage was bad, but the finish was great, and it felt like it kind of truly catapulted the LPGA tour last year into, all right, you know what, like this is gonna be fun.
Well, I want to get into that. So just for run a show for folks, we have about a 30-minute conversation with Houston's own Justin Ray. Very topical this week. He's gonna tell us all about Nelly Korda, again, put her run into historical context and kind of dig into what's driving her play so far this year in terms of, is it the driver, is it the putter, is it, her approach play, et cetera, et cetera. And then on the back end, guys, we'll reconvene and let's get into Chevron, the venue, the tournament last year, and we can make some picks. So without further ado, here is our conversation with Justin Ray. Mr. Justin Ray. If you're not following Justin Ray on Twitter, you are missing out. He is the go-to for any type of stats, historical tidbits. I love just throwing stuff to him every now and again. Justin, thank you for joining us. I can't think of a better person to help us contextualize the Nelly Korda run that we are in the midst of. So let me first start with thank you for joining and what's going on in your world.
Yeah, thanks for having me. Nelly's certainly making it easy with as well. All the stuff she's doing, she's giving me plenty of fodder to dig through and try to contextualize. Like when there's not a lot going on, that's when my job's hard. When this stuff's going on, this is the fun and easy part of it.
Absolutely. I mentioned Justin Ray on Twitter. He is head of content for 21st Group. He's a lead data analyst for KPMG Performance Insights. He's previously worked at ESPN, at Golf Channel, tons of different interesting stops. But Justin, one thing I wanted to ask you about, you were very involved with the U.S. Solheim Cup team beginning last year in Spain and will be again this year in Virginia. I was just curious if you could kind of walk us through both what you are doing with the U.S. Solheim Cup team and also how that came to be.
Yeah, well, a while back, Stacey Lewis, learned about all the different analytical approaches that the U.S. and European Ryder Cup teams have been able to implement over the last several years. It's kind of a staple of a Ryder Cup or a President's Cup now is having a stat squad behind you, and that's what Stacey wanted to implement too. And our work developing the KPMG Performance Insights and helping to tell those stories week in and week out kind of made us a perfect fit to try to go in there and help out, try to put players in the best position possible from a statistical standpoint, whether that's odd even holes, whether they should tee off or pairing the right players together to get the best possible outcome. It was easily the biggest thrill of my career so far. It was so much fun to be a part of. I like to say we were a half point away from a perfect week. That sweep in the first session in the alternate shot was a feeling I'm never going to forget the rest of my life. So and we're back at it this year. I'm actually headed down to my hometown at Houston next week for Chevron to go talk to Captain Lewis and meet with one of our new assistant captains, Brittany Lincecum, for the first time. So fired up to get going on that. We have a WhatsApp chat that is just on fire all year round. It's been really cool to see that develop. And, every time I come up with something that's, whether it's good or if it's good, it gets shared with the player. It's kind of like a motivating thing in terms of numbers, but trends I'm finding and ball striking and putting and whatever it might be. If it's interesting about somebody that could be potentially a member of the U.S. team, I share it in that thread, and to get feedback from major champions is always pretty cool. So it's exciting. I can't wait to be part of it again this year. The only thing I'm going to change is we're going to leave with that trophy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What are you dealing with the information and stats that you have access to? How much of that is proprietary? How much of that can people find through the KPMG Insights page? Where do you get the information, the data, if you will, to help do your job?
Yeah, well, almost all of it is available on the KPMG Performance Insights main page. It's easy to find through the LPGA site. But we've got a non-traditional. We don't have lasers on every golf course of the world, so the caddies and the players are a big part of pulling this information together. But yeah, what I'll do is mid-tournament, in order to help out the broadcast or start help tell some of those more detailed statistical stories, I'll actually comb through PDF scans of scorecards and piece together like why this player is putting better from 5 to 10 feet. That's why she's succeeding so far, or her approach shot proximity from a certain range. So it's pretty nitty gritty, but when you go week in, week out, and the stuff that's going to be most interesting and useful for fans, it's all available on the KPMG Performance Insights website.
Awesome. I know, Cody, you and I, or at least I did. I remember last year before the Solheim, we had heard about, oh, we found that Lexi, she's hitting the ball great, and I know I was dubious, but damn, if by the end of the week, if that didn't prove true, Justin, you guys sure nailed that one. I have to imagine that was pretty satisfying for you.
It was a testament to what we saw in what Lexi had been doing the weeks leading up to the Solheim Cup. She didn't have a great year on the golf course for the first 6-7 months of the year in 2023, but we always knew what the underlying talent was, and some of the underlying metrics were a lot better than her scoring results were. And then she got to Spain, and it's a testament to the faith that Stacy and the assistant captains put in us and put in the data. We tracked her strokes gained information in the practice rounds as well, and Stacy even mentioned it in a press conference before the first session, and she was through the roof, like the best ball striker on the team. And we were like, okay, I think we can ride this. I think we can take this and use it to our advantage. I remember, I hope Stacy won't get mad at me for saying this, but when Stacy told Lexi, you're going off first in the first session, and I told Lexi, and you're going to drive the effing green. And I don't know, I was just so fired up. I blacked out. I don't know, I was too excited. So I probably could have kept that to myself, but it ended up being a good, portent for some good stuff for the week. And
proved us wrong. Proved us dead wrong, Jay
You're
Ray.
certified in absolutely justified in being and doubting what we were doing. I totally got it. I mean, it didn't, on the surface, it didn't look like it made a whole lot of sense, but we had confidence in our strategy. We had confidence in the players and our assistant captains. The whole approach we had for the entire year going into this. I mean, the amount of data we poured through and the work we did with Stacy and with the assistant captains, myself and my whole team with TFG. We were really confident in the process, and we're going to be even more so when we get to the DC area later this year.
I got one question for you. And phenomenal investment by KPMG, getting the Performance Insights not only up and running, but we talked about kind of how bootstrapped it is. And it's getting better.
Yeah.
And that, I think that's because more people are on board, not only players, caddies, but everybody sees like what this can actually provide to every level that is around, definitely the LPGA Tour. But I guess my question is, with the USGA's investment last year at the US Women's Open and bringing ShotLink there, like how much did that help out your job and having like, okay, well, we have our caddy fed insights that we're getting from every single round, but here is the no crap data that lasers as official as it can possibly be.
It was a good comparative tool for sure, because we didn't have anything to go up against. We had my company, before I even got here, implemented this same process on the DP World Tour for years. That's the thing that doesn't get talked about a lot, is that they still don't have ShotLink type technology on every course around the world on the European Tour. I mean, they do in mainland Europe, but they don't have it in some of the more far-flung locations. So they still use the process that my company had in place for years and years before a new partner joined with them. I will say that the growing pains are really reflective of a lot of what we saw in the beginning of the ShotLink era for the PGA Tour. I mean, for a lot of the years of ShotLink data in the men's game, it's Alice, the retired teacher, with an iPad walking around. And look, there's still even moments now where I'll be watching a golf tournament, whether it's in person or on TV, and the in-tournament ShotLink data, but that's not a 3-foot putt. That's a 9-foot putt. Like, it's not perfect. And but look, the goal is to take. That's not a knock on ShotLink at all. It's incredible technology, and is allowed us to tell the best stories that we could possibly think of in the sport. It speaks to the fact that this is not a perfect process. Data is not a perfect magic bullet. It takes a lot of work and dedication. And like you said, it is getting better. We're really confident in the growth we've shown and the accuracy of the information. Like you said, people see the value in it. Everyone from the last player on the Epson Tour swing coach to the commissioner of the LPGA Tour sees the value in this information. And that's kind of it takes time. Everything takes time. The example I use, I worked at ESPN in the very dawn of when strokes gained putting was being rolled out. And I remember at the 2011 Masters, I think it was, I tried to get a strokes gained putting graphic into a Sports Center hit. And you would have thought that I had 4 heads. Like, the way that the people in the truck looked at me, it was totally alien. And now, you just go a few years later and it's ubiquitous. It's everywhere. It's what we all, you're going to hear it on the Masters broadcast here later this week, throughout, so these things take time. And look, there's nothing more exciting than data and patience, right? So, it's just something that reps and time was going to only make the process stronger and the data more and more reliable, and people are going to see the value in it.
Yeah, I feel like it's a direct attack on my personal philosophy of hot takes and eye tests. So,
look, there's place for everybody. I'm not a robot. I've got takes too, but there's a place for all of it. And look, we want to give you the fuel to help your takes and maybe justify that eye test. And maybe if it doesn't justify the eye test, just do what most analysts do and ignore that part of
just
the data.
pretend it doesn't exist. That's
just
exactly
cherry
right.
pick what you need to make it work. But no, for real, there's place for all of it, man. You can have your eye takes are important. We're all human.
Yeah, for sure. And I think just to touch on what you said, it's such a valuable tool to help tell stories. And I think that's, in the business that we're in, and especially with women's golf, it's so nice now to have more information and more data. And as that data just keeps getting better and better, it allows us to tell better stories and to contextualize things a lot better. And so that's massively, massively appreciated. And that's kind of why we wanted to bring you on today, because I know this is a Chevron preview and we're going to get to the Chevron, but we'd be remiss. We have to talk about what Nelly Korda has been doing. She enters Chevron on a 4-tournament win streak, including a run of 3 straight wins in 3 straight weeks prior to this week off. She's unbelievable. She's up to 12 career LPGA victories. She's obviously, Justin, somebody that you would have worked with and dug into last year for the Solheim. Obviously, we'll be working with again for this year's Solheim. And so I had tasked you after she won 2 weeks ago, her most recent victory out in Las Vegas at T-Mobile. I shot you a message and I said, hey, Justin, would you be willing to come on and just share like your 10 favorite Nelly Korda stats, tidbits? And so graciously, you said yes. Here we are. You have 10 prepared for us. Cody, I think we just count them down, maybe reverse order, Justin, if that's all right with you. Can you just take us from 10 to 1?
I'm happy to. So it's not going to be the 10 like by my favorite, but I think 10 most impactful maybe in that order. What I tried to do is give you 5 or 6 to explain why she's hit this sprint speed in terms of her success, and then some historical stuff and some really cool names that she's brought herself with. So
beautiful, awesome.
You get any virtual drum roll for number 10, but I'll fire when ready.
We don't have that sound graphic built in.
That's okay.
Yes,
I didn't expect. I didn't expect it. So let's get started with one of the biggest reasons why she's having this much success this year. She's gone from above average with her approach play to elite. In 2023, she gained 0.2 of a stroke per round with her approach shots. That's well above average, 56th on the LPGA Tour. This season, she's gaining nearly a full stroke per round, and she's ranked in the top 15. So that was never the strongest point of her game. Obviously, her performance off the tee, and she's a better putter than people give her credit for. But she's turned into an elite approach player, and that's really unlocked this kind of, next level's a tired euphemism, but to take this next step in terms of being, 4 consecutive wins on winning at this historic clip.
Okay.
I did not expect you to lead with that. I thought for sure you're going to go putting here, but you're 100% right. I guess for some reason why have we always imagined that she's just been like an absolute like crusher of stroke gain approach? Like it seems like she flags everything.
I think it's got to be golf swing bias. It's such a good golf swing that I think people naturally think, oh, you must hit your irons fantastic. And not that she was hitting them bad as Justin.
No, not at all. I think too, people often stick to the first statistic that comes to your mind when you categorize a player, like Denny McCarthy. He's a great putter. I mean, yeah, he's a great putter, but he's also getting good at other stuff. Nelly, for years and years, she's top 5 on the LPGA Tour in driving distance. So she's driving the ball great. That's the strength of her game. It is the strength of her game, but now she's basically mirroring what she's able to do in strokes gained off the tee with what she can do with strokes gained approach.
All right. Love that. Yeah.
Number 9.
Excited where we're going.
To kind of dovetail nicely with that, Nelly is the only player on the LPGA Tour this season who is ranked in the top 15 in both strokes gained off the tee and strokes gained approach. She is the only one. For good measure, she's also in top 15 in strokes gained around the green. She's second. So no one's got the first 2, and she's got 3.
Let me ask you this, and it's maybe an impossible question, but how much of this do you think is like her new true skill level? How much of it is just a very hot streak that she's on? I imagine the answer is probably somewhere in between, but
Yeah.
I guess what do you expect from her in terms of approach play and keeping this elite kind of driver plus iron play going deeper into the season?
You're right. It's a little bit of a mix of both. I mean, you'd be remiss if you didn't say this is a little bit of catching fire in the moment to hit this kind of crazy streak she's on. But I think that look the number of rounds that she's been gaining strokes with her approach play going back to the end of last season suggests that this is more of a I'm not going to say a permanent. She's not going to win every tournament she ever plays, but it's more of something that's more sustainable than she got hot with a putter one week or something like that. Like this has been a repetitive, consistent thing to where I think it was. I looked up the other day. She's gaining at least a stroke with her approach play in twice as many rounds as last year, and that's a really significant increase and a pretty consistent block of time to look at in terms of seeing that improvement.
And you can only take her word for what she says, that this is truly one of the first times going back to like her rookie year that she truly feels like she's playing injury free.
Yeah.
Like she doesn't have,
Yeah.
she's not bumped up. She doesn't have any weird pains or anything. So maybe this is truly like she's just swinging her swing
She's
for the
finally
first time
healthy.
in a long
Yeah,
time.
finally healthy. So, yeah. All
Yeah.
right. So number 8. Next up, this season when Nelly hits the fairway with her drive, she's hitting the green in regulation 83% of the time. That's an obscene fact. It's the highest rate of anyone with at least 16 rounds on tour. It's more than 10% better than the LPGA Tour average. After a missed fairway, she's even better compared to her peers. She hits the green 65% of the time. That's 14% better than the LPGA Tour average.
Good Lord.
Yeah, that adds up quick. I think, specifically thinking back, well, let's just look back to the finals match this last weekend. And Leona's coming in with, high hybrids. And Nelly is 50, 60 yards ahead of her and coming in with a pitching
Yeah.
wedge. And you're like, well, okay, that kind of makes sense there. So when you couple strokes gain overall driving coming off the tee with the power, it's going to feed into approach.
And we did not rehearse this, but that goes perfectly into the next fact. On approach shots from 100 to 125 yards this year, which she gets a lot of because she's able to drive the ball further than her peers, Nelly has an average proximity to the hole of 15 feet. The LPGA Tour average from that range this season is about 20 feet. So 5 feet doesn't sound like a lot, but when you add up the rate of putts made from 15 to 20 feet versus 10 to 15, 20 to 25, whatever it might be, it adds up to more birdies. And for Nelly, it's added up to 4 straight wins.
Yeah.
I was gonna make a joke in there before the last one. Like you could put me, I don't know, Cody, what, 40 yards, 50 yards away from the green, and I literally don't think I would hit 83% of the greens with a little pitch shot. Like, I know it's not a shock to a lot of people listening, but it's just unbelievable.
Maybe
I think the shocker big is, I think the shocker is the fact that most people think that they're going to hit 100% of it.
Yeah.
Like most amateur golfers are like, oh, of course I'm going to hit the green 100% of the time. They don't realize how difficult it actually is.
Yeah.
For sure.
Whew.
Yeah. All right. So carrying on, and this is going to be a terrifying fact for the rest of the LPGA Tour. Nelly can actually get better. This season, she has made a lower percentage of her putts from 5 to 10 feet than the LPGA Tour average. She's able to overcome some mistakes here and there. You think about a few of the aired approaches, but some missed putts she had in the match play, with the fact that she's able to just make a zillion birdies as well. But if she actually improves her putting from 5 to 10 feet to maybe like a little above the LPGA Tour average and keeps this ball striking going, I realistically think she could win 8 or 9 times this year.
How much this is a great segue to ask you, Justin. We saw Nelly, Cody. I'm thinking specifically of the AIG Women's Open, Solheim Cup. Certainly had examples. Hell, even going back to last year's Chevron. Justin, how much of a issue actually was Nelly's putting last year, or how much of it was like she's such a good ball striker, she's going to have more opportunities to putt, and we also see more of her putting. That bias where like we see her a lot more on the greens than we would other players. I guess what I'm asking is how much of an issue, in your opinion, was her putter last year?
Yeah, it's that adage where if you're a top player and we're watching you in rounds 1 and 2, you're like, man, this player's not making anything. But
Right.
really, it's just that,
It's a Scheffler.
yeah,
It's
I
Scotty.
can't make a putt to save his life. But then
Yeah.
the truth is 95% of professional golfers, you're only seeing them when they play their best. So you end up with a little bit of a jilted perspective. She actually was 47th in strokes gained putting last year, which is above average. Her strokes gained putting this year is actually down from that. But a little bit. So that speaks to the last stat I shared about the makes from 5 to 10 feet. But yeah, I wouldn't call it problematic. It's just in the shadow of everything else she does. It's not been her strong suit. But like I said at the very beginning, she's a better putter than people think from 10 to 25 feet away.
Yeah.
And it's a lot easier when those, 10 footers are for eagle. You just brush in your birdie and keep
That's
it moving.
right.
So.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, I think I'm on number, is it 6? Yeah, I think this is 6 or 5. This is number 5. All right, so the gap.
We trust you. Don't worry.
You're not doing record keeping over there. The gap in strokes gained total per round between Nelly and Lydia Ko, number 2, who was unbelievable, obviously, the first 2 tournaments of the year, is a half a stroke per round. That is larger than the gap right now between number 10 and number 30.
Wow.
And it's not like Lydia is just hacking it around. Like,
I
she
know.
won and nearly beat Nelly in that. She had that amazing, hectic final hour in Florida, the second event of the year. But that just speaks to, what she's been able to put together early in the year to be half a stroke better than anybody else.
Well, Lydia got beat by the eye test. I mean, there's too many, you had production, you had all the media people getting the Hall of Fame bouquet of flowers and everything. I mean, I felt bad for that too, but that's incredible.
I know.
That
Half a shot over number 2 is gigantic.
Over number 2. Yeah. Over.
And I think, too, it would be even more staggering if we weren't, as golf fans, seeing what Scotty's been doing statistically and been familiar with it. I think it'd be even more of a, holy crap, what are we looking at here? But, yeah, no, it's pretty profound.
All right.
Keep going.
and she can still get better.
Yeah, she can still get a little bit better.
Yeah, number 4.
All right. We're getting to the historic stuff now. Only 3 players since 2000 have won 4 or more consecutive starts on the LPGA Tour. Lorena Ochoa, Annika Sorenstam twice, and Nelly Korda. We don't see this very often. I mean, this is the tour where there's several years. Last year, both Celine Boutier and Lilia won 4 times, but there's been several years, last 5-6 seasons, where no one's even won 4 times the whole year. Yeah. So to do 4 in a row and have those kind of names, all world number ones, all, Nelly, probably multiple major champion when her career's done, to go along with, 2 of the legends of the game, Lorena and Annika. Yeah, it's we don't see it too often.
GOAT status.
That's right. Speaking of GOAT status, and I'm just firing away, so tell me to slow down or stop if you want me to. But only 2 American women in the last 50 years have won 4 or more consecutive starts on the LPGA Tour. Think about the examples I shared: Lorena, Annika. You think about Sayri Pak, Inbee Park, R.H. Chandigarn. These are all players from outside the U.S. The only other woman in the last 50 years to win from the United States to win 4 or more straight tournaments is Nancy Lopez in 1978. Wow. And that was her crazy, historic 9-win Rookie of the Year, Player of the Year season.
Unbelievable. Yeah. That is. I don't think we're talking about that this year, because 9 wins is so much. I think we definitely take that for granted. Just like we're taking this streak right now that's going on. Completely.
I was going to say, I mean, think about the very, very good American golfers. Somebody like Stacey Lewis, Lexi Thompson, Julie Inkster,
Meg Mallon, players who were really good on tour for years and years. Dottie Pepper, you go back another, the generation. You mentioned Julie, you go back further and you get into the between the big international wave, except for players from Australia, didn't really come along until Sayri Pak, really. And then, you had Kari Webb and everything. So the last 25 years, it's more of an international flavor to the biggest champions of the tour. But before that, it was pretty much all American players. So to think that we hadn't seen this, only once in 50 years is kind of crazy.
Well, and it's really cool. Cody, you and I have spent the last year and a half, I feel like, talking about, and Justin, I would be curious your opinion, but it just feels like, to your point, it feels like women's golf, the LPGA, is as deep now as it has ever been, really. The depth and the quality of fields. And so for her to go on a run in the midst of that right now it's you just run out of adjectives, right? It's there's only so many times you could say it's super impressive.
Yeah,
right?
Cody mentioned that, we're probably not going to see 9 wins. Really, the LPGA Tour season doesn't really get going till now. She didn't even
I
play
know.
in
That's
Asia.
why I was like,
She didn't even.
Yeah.
wait a second. Wait, we haven't even gotten to a major yet.
Right.
This is nuts. She took 7 weeks off
season
in there. She
really-
missed the entire Asian swing.
The cadence of the season too, like they play more significant events after their last major of the year than the men do. There's more left to come, more to chew on here as the season progresses. But I've got another crazy note that invokes another GOAT of the game. Nelly is the first American player to win 4 of her first 5 starts in the season since Kathy Whitworth in 1969. All due respect, Kathy Whitworth was facing very different fields than Nelly Korda is.
Exactly.
Of course. But it is so hard to win.
Yeah.
And I think that's like the numbers and everything they tell us. I think at the end of the day, like that's my driving factor that I keep thinking back to of what's going on right now is that it's so hard to win. The talent pool, the depth is clearly there. And Nelly forever, we used to joke, we called her like potential dome golfer, TrackMan golfer, because she's not really known to be a mutter. She doesn't play very good in adverse conditions at all. And so far this year, every week's
different. Every week's different
Yeah.
setup, a different foe she's got to knock off, different weather, different grass. Like it's totally thrown that dome golfer thing away. I mean, it's been
and to maintain the consistency that she has, it's crazy just to think about.
Yeah, for sure.
I will just say too, real quick, just Kathy Whitworth. If people aren't all that familiar, I mean, won 88 times, but I think almost more amazingly, finished runner-up 93 times. So she had 181 top 2 finishes on the LPGA tour, which is just insane. So that's
it's like a
that's
Snead
the company
Nelson type. Yeah, like Sam Snead, Byron Nelson type resume in terms of consistent success on her tour. All right, so this is the last one, and this is probably my favorite because it spins us into this week in my hometown of Houston. Nelly will enter the season's first major, coming off 4 straight wins, obviously. The only other player in LPGA history to go to a major coming off 4 straight wins was Annika at the 2005, then Kraft Nabisco, now Chevron. Annika won by 8. So you're up, Nelly. Bars high.
Play hard. Play hard.
Yeah, good luck. No,
oh my God.
I mean,
it's crazy that it had not happened at any other point. A lot of these win streaks, you look back, Shirley Englehorn has one in 1970, like the one Aria went on. It's kind of between majors. None of them entered a major championship, really. There's some that include a major on the front or back end, but not like this in this way where you're coming off 4 straight wins and headed to one of the game's biggest events.
Oh my God, the potential is just there, and I think that's what's most exciting. Just being a fan of the game, of the sport, right? We all get to witness this weekend potentially something really historic, and it would be. I mean, talk about validating. Not that she needs to validate the streak that she's been on, but to cap it off with a major championship would just be. I almost feel like we're talking about going to another level, which your stats say we would be. It just is. It's very exciting, and I think that's a fun place to be heading into any major championship.
Yeah, you're talking about a run where you're comparing yourself, like I did here, to Whitworth, Nancy Lopez, Mickey Wright, Annika Sorenstam. These are the best players in the history of the women's game.
Yeah,
that's it. That's all you have to compare her to at this point in terms of what she's doing right now at this moment. So I don't know if she'll be able to do it this week. It's obviously an enormous thing to ask. I remember watching her interview with Grant Boone and Karen Stupples after she won in Vegas. And she was like, yeah, I'm looking forward to my bed. I'm going to go sleep now. And you can imagine just the consistent psychological strain of being in contention over and over and over again and playing stressful rounds of golf. Stressful rounds, something we track for the Solheim Cup as well, is something that's going to weigh on you. And hopefully she's going to be well rested for the first major of the season.
I was going to say we heard Scotty talk about that after Houston, right? Just the strain and pressure. He was trying to win 3 straight weeks, and he talked about it just is, it's a lot. So yeah, I almost it's nice that there's this built-in off week for Nelly. I think it'd be a different animal if she was rolling right into Chevron. So yeah, hopefully she's able to get home, get some sleep in her own bed, and God, I can't wait. Justin, let me put you on the spot. What do you hope happens? But more importantly, what do you expect if you had to make a prediction for Nelly specifically?
Well, I'm a little, a little biased as a paid member of the U.S. Solheim Cup team. I would love to see the defending.
I thought you were a volunteer.
Yeah, I probably would volunteer to do it. To be honest, it's so much fun. Don't tell that to KPMG, but
Yeah.
um, I, I would love to see the defending champion and the hottest player in the world duke it out in the
Yeah.
final round. I mean, that would be incredible. We got basically in Vegas. I don't know if you could script a better final, getting the Solheim Cup assassin Leona Maguire
Yep.
and the hottest player on the planet going to that championship match. It'd be a lot to ask to get it again, but there's so many unbelievably talented players, and we got that playoff last year with Lilia, last year at the Chevron. Minji Lee's an unbelievable ball striker, and it's shown it in major championships. I would love to see Allison Corpuz, the reigning U.S. Women's Open winner, in the mix, but I will say I can't pick against Nelly Korda. I can't. I'm gonna.
It's so
It's
hard.
so hard. I'm gonna say she trails by 3 entering the final round and comes back and wins her 5th in a row. I don't know though. I mean, I'm biased, but it's so difficult. I just read you all the reasons why she's been
I
so
know.
great,
I know.
and this built-in off week, like you said, Randy, I think is really helpful. To think that she played the 3-stroke play rounds and then the 3 matches, having to go straight to the next big event would be a little too much to ask. But I think this week is going to really help. So yeah, why not? Let's keep it rolling, and let's keep betting on Nelly Korda.
Hell yeah.
I hear you there. I think the one thing is that last year the Chevron first playing it obviously at the Club of Carlton Woods, but she played awesome. And if it was, she just didn't really, put herself in great position through 54 holes and didn't really have everything that she needed on that final day. And I think that the changes in her game that she's shown from last year to this year, there's absolutely no reason why your prediction should not come through. I am absolutely shocked you called out the defending champion there. I 100% would agree with you on that. That would be truly amazing. And somebody who was in the final group that threw it away on that back 9, who's just coming back from injury, who played lights out in Vegas. Angel Yin did not see that
Maybe
coming.
the best putter in the world, men or women. If I looking through all the details of the statistics,
I was
would
gonna
make
say
that assessment. Yeah.
Angel was hitting some very confident shorter putts in Las Vegas, and she honestly pushed Nelly maybe as much as we saw anybody push Nelly in those in that match play. So
I
yeah.
pulled up what Nelly did at Chevron last year, 25th in strokes gained approach. It was probably her biggest deficiency in terms of, and that's not bad, but that's if you're comparing her to the players who ended up, to Lilia, to Angel, and to think of how much better she's gotten in that facet of the game now, making a return there. I don't know, man. Kind of like it. So I'm excited to get the opening round going on Thursday.
Well, Jay, you're joining my side. It's the year of Nelly. I crowned this at the beginning of the year. Randy's a hater. He's been saying all this bad stuff about me and my compatriot in TC, these bad guys that I have around me. I'm happy to see that somebody else is on this side with me. We're going to do it,
caps
man.
off the year of Nelly drinking champagne out of the Solheim after we win Sunday night. That's the thing that's going to bring me the most joy for sure. But yeah, no, it's a treat to watch, and to just be an ancillary, even just as an observer, is an awesome thing to experience so far this season. It's been the biggest story for my money in golf so far in 2024. Has been what she's doing.
Yeah. Awesome. Cody, you and I will make our official predictions later in the show. We have Justin's. He is Justin Ray. He's Justin Ray Golf, at Justin Ray Golf on Twitter. Phenomenal follow. Justin, you are the man. We would love, we'll have to check in with you as we get a little bit closer to the Solheim. We can talk some Solheim later this summer and into the fall. But thank you very much for the time.
Yeah, guys, thanks for having me. It was a lot of fun.
A quick message brought to you by our friends at Titleist, the #1 ball in golf, and the top choice of players this week at the Chevron Championship. This year on the LPGA Tour, 75% of players are trusting the Pro V1 or the Pro V1X golf ball. That includes Jin Young Ko, Megan Kang, Allison Lee. They all play the Pro V1. While Lilia Vu, Celine Boutier, Lydia Ko, and others, they all play the Pro V1X. Choosing the right Titleist golf ball is all about flight, spin, and feel. In comparing the Pro V1 versus the Pro V1X, the Pro V1 will fly lower and spin less in the long game, while producing similar greenside spin and softer feel. The Pro V1X, it flies higher and spins more in the long game, and will have a little bit firmer feel. The best players in the world are playing a golf ball that's fit for their game. You simply cannot play your best golf otherwise. Head on over to Titleist.com to start the fitting process and find out which Pro V1 is right for you. Now back to the show.
Great stuff from our guy Justin. Randy here again, TC, Cody. Yeah, when you hear, the goats that Nelly has put herself, I mean, Annika, TC, your girl, Lorena, Kathy Whitworth, it really drives home, what she has done, what she could still be doing. It's truly very, very rare.
She's putting like a great player now too. Like that's the thing that I think, going back to our conversation before the Justin segment, was just how poorly she's putted over the last couple of years, especially towards the back end of last year. And it was like, all right, like this is unbecoming. And you're not gonna win majors, you're not gonna win golf tournaments putting like that. So glad to see she's come a long way towards fixing that.
And I think it's just like the frustration, right? You like, you never really want to see the best. Like, you want to see them intense, you want to see them competing, you want to see them showing emotion, but when they start kind of getting frustrated and down on certain parts of their own game, that's never a good sign. I think that's certainly what we saw at times with Nelly and her putter last year. So anyway,
one thing,
guys,
real quick, one thing that I want to give
yeah,
a quick shout out
please.
to is that obviously thanks to Justin for coming on, a phenomenal follow, but really KPMG, their investment in Performance Insights.
Yeah.
I mean, we wouldn't have it, I understand we give them grief a lot of times because it's not perfect. We talk about that with Justin, but it's a lot better than nothing. It's a lot better than it used to be. It's continuing to improve. And I didn't realize that, we're kind of poking holes in it. And when he was like, yeah, that's actually, not every tournament on the DP World Tour has ShotLink, and they're still doing this with caddy surveys and everything else. I was like, oh, that's a great point. Okay, so
Yeah.
we're not that far off here, but thanks to KPMG for doing that. And I brought it up in that segment, but it just makes me appreciate everything that the USGA does for the US Women's Open and getting ShotLink there, and how like that data that is for a fact, or the best that a volunteer can do, but a heck of a lot better than caddy surveys. Makes me appreciative of it.
Yeah, well said. And I also will just compliment KPMG. The website, the KPMG Insights website, is getting much better as well. And it's, you can go by player, by year, by tournament. It's
Works like a website.
yeah, which is rare in the world of golf. So,
But speaking
guys,
of, guys, I'm going to go
Yeah.
down on Tuesday. I'm going down to Chevron. I'm going to spend a little over 24 hours down there. I'm actually going to play in the Pro-Am, which is crazy. The fact that there are still Pro-Ams on the LPGA Tour, but I understand that money makes this whole thing go round. So you got to keep the sponsors happy. I'm gonna try to corner the Big Commish Molly, and talk about the LPGA app, because it is not good. It's
not
at all. It's very archaic. It's almost impossible to move around the functionality of it, and just see like where that's at in overall LPGA things, lists of improvement, because I understand it might be an oversight to some, but to everybody else who is trying to follow this, it is not good.
That's how you connect with the fans, right?
Yep.
Like that's how a lot of it, especially when you're not on TV all that much.
For
like,
sure.
You're on the app and the website a lot, looking at scorecards and tracking stuff.
Yeah.
So.
Cody, we'll be eager for a full report. Hopefully you can talk to Molly about that. Guys, one more sponsor to thank. It's our good friends at Mizuho. All right. We started our last episode. We introduced them. They're going to be a partner of ours all year. For anybody that doesn't know, Mizuho Americas, they are part of the Mizuho Financial Group, the 15th largest bank in the world. Mizuho Americas is a corporate and investment bank serving corporate and institutional clients. They advise and fund businesses looking to go public, raise money, expand operations, or connect with large investors. They also help finance large infrastructure projects, TC, that promote civic improvement.
yeah.
We love that. So while you may not know the name Mizuho, you likely know many of the name brand companies they have helped or the projects we have funded. One of their big initiatives, and we're going to see it in May, they are sponsoring the Mizuho Americas Open. It's at Liberty National. just outside of New York City. And Mizuho's dedicated to celebrating and featuring women, not only on the golf course, but they also do it internally in their organization. In fact, 2 out of the 3 revenue producing divisions at Mizuho are run by women. And so, guys, I thought this was a natural kind of segue to talk about another woman in golf that was recognized last week, and that is Judy Rankin. She is, in my opinion, she's up there with like Johnny Miller. It's like Johnny and Judy as like the goats of golf broadcasting growing up. Judy was honored last week at the annual Golf Writers Association of America dinner, which they do Masters Week. And she received the PGA of America Lifetime Achievement Award in Journalism. And that's a big deal because she's the first woman to receive the award. And I wanted to just take a couple minutes to talk about Judy Rankin and highlight the work that she's done. She's a living legend. She still broadcasts 4 tournaments ish a year on the LPGA tour, which are just fantastic. But quoting Judy from the dinner last week, she said, "The fact that it's for journalism means a lot to me. In television, you do tell a lot of stories and you try to get those stories correct. I think if you share them correctly, it really helps the viewing audience to get the insights into people. And I think that does a lot to give people an emotional involvement where they want to watch and become fans of a certain player or two, whether they're men or women. I think that's a little part of the job in television. It's to get people to know players well enough that they care about tuning in again." And like that's it. And I feel like Judy has been at the forefront of that in the women's game for decades. And it's something that, we're trying to do, right? In our own small little way. But I think that's it exactly. She was talking about that. Of course, all her colleagues glowing things to say about her, as you might imagine. Friend of the program, good friend of ours, Grant Boone. I love this quote that he said about Judy. He said, "She has the toughness to tell the truth and the tenderness to say it kindly." And in my opinion, that's like one of the biggest compliments you can give somebody. And
That's
one
it
more,
right there.
yeah, one more for you. PGA of America President John Lindert talking about Judy Rankin. Judy has delivered insightful commentary as a broadcaster for nearly 4 decades. She has made an everlasting impact on the broadcast industry as she paved the way for countless women to follow in her footsteps. On behalf of the PGA of America, I congratulate Judy for an unrivaled broadcasting career and this well-deserved recognition. So, guys, I wanted to use our segment today, of course, brought to you by Mizuho, just as a celebration, a thank you, and a congratulations to Judy Rankin.
Awesome.
It's big of
I
you,
miss
Randy.
her. I miss her having her in the booth more often, but understand.
Yeah.
She's had a long, long career, and you highlighted obviously her broadcast career, but going back and looking at her as a player, when she ended up retiring, it wasn't because of retiring from competitive golf. It was because she had a bad back. She was still pretty young. She battled back issues for a long time, and then kind of went away. But Solheim Cup captain through the 90s. This honor, of course, she's already in the LPGA Hall of Fame in the veterans category, I think. She's in the World Golf Hall of Fame as well. It's awesome.
Yeah. So well done to Judy. Well done on the PGA of America for recognizing Judy, and thank you to Mizuho for not only sponsoring our podcast, but all the work they're doing in women's golf. So, guys, we've been talking about it. Chevron Week. Let me just run through the broadcast schedule for folks. We are Golf Channel, Peacock, and NBC with I will say sprinkled in. We're going to get some ESPN Plus feature group additional coverage. The TV times for Thursday and Friday are 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. Eastern. That's going to be on Golf Channel and Peacock. And then they come back from 6 to 8 p.m. Eastern, again on Golf Channel and Peacock. We're recording this a little early, but ESPN Plus will have some additional featured group coverage both of those days. And then on the weekend, it goes
Vic,
to NBC.
I think you're
Yes.
burying the lead here.
Is there any other news? What else is going on?
Well, I think rightfully so, we tend to have a lot of takes both on this podcast, the main podcast, about the broadcast, things that we think, improvements that we feel could easily be made. We're excited because we've been writing for additional streaming options, because at the end of the day, we just want to watch the golf, and that's the biggest thing when it comes to the LPGA Tour. Well, we're very, very lucky, and I'll say that next week at the Chevron, as part of ESPN Plus's coverage, you will see myself and Mr. TC. Big is going on vacation, so I don't know if he scheduled that on purpose or whatnot, but he's going to
Yeah.
somewhere for the week. We're gonna miss you, buddy, but we will be there
Thank you.
on ESPN Plus Thursday and Friday before we got to move on to the next assignment. And you're going to see us the rest of the year. So I think we're signed up for 4 events in total, if I'm speaking correctly. So it's going to be the Chevron, it'll be Founders. We're going to do the new
TPC
LPG
Boston event.
Yep, the new
FM Global.
LPGA event in Boston, and then we're going to finish things off at the Tour Championship down in Naples. Very, very excited about it, though.
And I promise I wasn't meaning to bury the lead. I am super excited to see and hear you guys on television. I'm going to be down in Mexico. Actually, I've never
Are you
really
getting married, big guy?
Yeah, I've never really been to Mexico. It's a little elopement. No, it's actually my girlfriend's brother is getting married. So while it is a vacation, it's not really, I didn't have much say over it.
I've
so
never been to Mexico either.
yeah, it's we're flying into Cancun, and then I think it's like an hour drive. But anyway, people don't care about that. I should say I'm going to get back Friday night, so I will be on the podcast Sunday. But yes, good luck, gentlemen. I was going to say that the TV windows on the weekend outside of the ESPN Plus coverage are 3 to 6 p.m. and that's going to be on NBC, and you can also watch it on Peacock if you so choose. So there's your broadcast schedule.
On top
Guys,
of
Randy,
that,
while you're down in Mexico,
Yeah.
please.
hold on, before
While
you
you're down in
guys go down to
Mexico.
Mexico. On top of that, also, it is a women's major, and we will be there. Our normal Friday evening live shows at the end of 36 holes. You'll find us live on YouTube, X, normal things, and then as well live Sunday show for Chevron RBC Heritage Recap. You can find us wherever you get knowing a podcast. Back to Mexico talk.
Randy, I was just gonna say, while you're in Mexico, if you could please talk to Grupo Salinas. We need a
Yes.
women's Mexico championship or a women's Mexico Open.
And let's take it back. What was the course in Mexico City?
Chapultepec.
Yeah.
Yeah. Let's go right
Electric.
there. Yeah, that'd be awesome. I will do that, TC. Guys, we talked about last year's edition, the Chevron, the first time they played the Woodlands, the golf course. I found it interesting. I remember last year hearing that they were going to work on the golf course. And in fact, I thought like shovels were going into the ground the Monday after the tournament finished. I don't think it was like major work, but it seemed like maybe some tee boxes, some work around the greens. It's funny, I haven't read or seen a single thing. Cody, I know you checked like the official website. They don't have anything. So truly, I guess we'll all just find out together if and what changes have been made to the golf course.
The club at Carlton Woods. Hopefully the build out behind the 18th green is a little bit set a little bit farther back as well.
Yeah. Lilia, of course, last year, defending champion Lilia Vu, she jumped into the pond. I don't know if you guys remember, the weather was really kind of nasty.
Tough.
Cold, windy, rainy. Hopefully better weather this weekend. That would certainly be an improvement. But I think the thing I'm like most curious about, it just seemed like last year, anecdotally, didn't seem like the tournament really got out of the Woodlands and reached into the wider Houston area. And so I just hope that this event can kind of become a Houston golf event and not just like a little Woodlands enclave golf event. So I'm curious to kind of see the crowds. I'm hoping the weather will be better and that should help. But I think we got some areas of improvement. And from the broadcast standpoint, would love to see some bumper programming, would love to see Golf Channel, the talking heads, discussing this tournament, giving it major treatment, right? I think that's something that we often get frustrated with on the women's side. So I guess we'll see. I'm hopeful.
My aunt and uncle last year
Yeah.
said like they live in the Woodlands. They said they didn't even know about the event.
Yeah,
eating in,
which
and
is
they
like,
found out about it, and they're like, "Oh, that's sick! Like we would have gone like 2 or 3 days."
Wasn't there?
yeah,
So
Didn't
they're
you
going
say
this year.
last year that the Woodlands had like their? It's the same weekend or something like that as like their spring marathon,
yeah, they had some like race or something.
and people were in town like more excited about the marathon than realizing that there's like a major championship being played in their backyard golf course. The other thing that I was thinking too, and we talk about like greater partnership and strategic alliances, and the fact that the Houston Open on the PGA Tour played a couple weeks ago, moved obviously to the spring. I know they're very happy about that. I know Texas Children's Hospitals and the Astros Foundation is a proud sponsor there. I wonder why, or if even if it's possible to be like, part of this PGA Tour, LPGA Tour handshake agreement, whatever that actually means. But like, if you had a ticket to the Houston Open,
Mm.
like, why? I wonder if there was like Chevron graphics on it, or even like free admission. Like, you go to the Houston Open, come back in a couple weeks, we're going to be in the Woodlands, or just something to get the greater word out there more. Just because I know, Houston, from what I know, is they're very into their golf. I don't know too much outside of like Memorial Park and all the country clubs that seem to cost way too much money down there. But there's a lot of wealthy people down there, a lot of people that are super into the golf, and I don't know. I
Could
just
be a
want to see
good
bigger crowds, and I feel like that there could be way more going on to amplify this.
Could be a good chance too for Chevron to flex on Valero a little bit, because Valero is the one
Mm,
that kept the Houston event from, kind of being in the spring, got
Yeah.
punted to the fall there, and so it could be, Chevron could fight back a little bit there, but that's neither here nor there.
Cody, I think that's a great point. You have a captive audience at Memorial Park. You have however many thousands of people. If there's not at least like signage or something to be like, hey, if you like watching golf, we have another very big event in a couple weeks, just up the road. That's yeah. I don't know the answer. Maybe hey, when you talk to Molly, another thing to pose to Big Commish.
TC, was this? I thought for some reason I thought this was the Shell event. Valero is San Antonio.
No, I know. Shell used to sponsor the Houston Open, but Valero's the one that muscled into the spring with
Yes,
San
yes.
Antonio and kicked Houston to the curb.
You're right. You're right. That final week
Can't
before the Masters.
can't sit
Yep,
well in
for
Houston.
sure.
We need the big petrol wars in golf.
Need to get Bunker in
Guys,
there.
let me for this next segment, I wanted to go around and just discuss in everybody's opinion what would be. I, you can take it either way. Either like the biggest quote unquote the biggest storyline that could happen at Chevron this week, or maybe it's like your own personal like favorite thing that could happen. But let me start here. Are we aligned that if Nelly were to win, that has to be like the biggest possible
Yes,
storyline coming out of this week, right? Like that's
I think so.
is that settled? Okay.
I think that's
So
unequivocal.
yes. So with that in mind, why don't we do this? Tron, taking Nelly out of it, all right? In your opinion, what would be the next best or biggest storyline like in terms of like a winner if it's not Nelly?
Lydia,
For sure.
she's already won once this year. If Nelly's won 4 times, Lydia's won twice, but one of them's a major, an alleged major. That makes it super, super interesting as we go into late April, into major season, May, June.
Yep.
And she'd be walking into the Hall of Fame
Yeah.
with
Which
a major win.
I understand that. I think I'm going to reserve the right to no longer discuss the Hall of Fame until the Hall of Fame is reached. Because I think that quick
Okay.
caveat, for some reason, maybe it's just my own internal psyche, but like, she knows what she has to do. She's got to win. And
Yeah.
I think every single time that's caveated there, it's I don't know. I hope it's not playing any sort of mental games with her, but it's pretty obvious that it is.
I think Hall of Fames are like wildly overrated personally. So I'm
I
just going to
tend to agree
abstain
with you,
from talking
TC,
about the Hall of Fame in general.
but when it's a clear cut like point system
Yeah.
and it's purely performance based, I do think it makes it a little bit more interesting. And I will say Nelly's first win in her current streak, she was 3 shots down with 2 holes to play to Lydia, and literally has kept her out of the Hall of Fame by coming back and beating her in a playoff, which is kind of sick.
Well, I would
Cody,
also
all
flip
right.
that and say that she kind of choked that away. Like
True.
Nelly should not have won that event.
Two sides to the same coin. Besides Lydia, Cody, what else? What's your next best scenario for this week?
Lilia Vu kind of had a shaky start to the year, defending champion. We're looking for somebody to kind of be up there to go pound for pound with Nelly. I think she's got a great feeling. I know there's a lot of things that go with being a defending champion, but she's always seemed to kind of just shake things off. So hopefully she comes in healthy, ready to go. I think that would be a tremendous, tremendous storyline.
It'd be a delicious dichotomy, right? Like Nelly, your week to week regular tour wins are cute, but this is my third major.
Yep.
Very Brooks like.
For
Yes,
sure.
yes, that's TC. That's a great call right there. I think taking those two off the board, which were first and second on my big board, I kind of think it's Angel Yin maybe, and I could be that's speaking from personal bias. I love Angel, but for her, if she could exercise her demons and break through in a major championship, kind of continue the momentum that she had in 2023. She came back shockingly last event in Vegas and looked good on that foot. I'll go with Angel Yin. I think again another young American major champion that's going to be a Solheim Cupper. That would be an excellent thing. We'll go one more round. We'll see if we can
the
stretch
best personality on the LPGA tour. She would do more to bring it to everybody's forefront. She would be the first person that's like, when people are like, "Oh, we need you to do social," she's like, "Yep, I'll do it." "Oh, we need you to go on TV." "Yep, I'll do it." And like,
Yeah.
she's just a true joy to be around. Now, having said that, that would be amazing, but like, that's absolutely crazy to say, Randy. She's literally played in one LPGA
I
Tour
know.
event so far this year. That was at the T-Mobile Match Play. We were shocked that the performance that she had there, making it as far as she did. There's got to be some sort of honeymoon period here where, like, you just don't have the reps to hold up for that. Or if that's not going to be the case, that's goes against everything that we're saying about like the depth of what the current LPGA
Yeah.
Tour is.
True. Yeah, good points. TC, what one more from you? What would
Yeah.
be next up on your list?
Cody, I'm glad you mentioned the match play. Match play was awesome. One of the turning into one of the highlights of the entire season every year now. I hope we talked about it. I hope they don't mess with the format too much either. Like it identified the best player for sure.
Yep.
We could go with Lynn Grant here. We could go with Brooke Henderson here.
So many different
I hope
ways.
she found
We
a
could go with
gym.
Patty. Gabby Ruffles. I think Gabby Ruffles winning would be awesome. I think
I do
she's
too.
a star in the making, but I'm going a different direction, guys. The home of the space program, NASA. NASA
She's been playing
Hataoka.
so good.
She's playing nice golf right now for like a long time now,
Mhm.
the last few years, and the wins aren't stacking up. But her game, she's kind of got a Tommy Fleetwood thing going in the majors a little bit.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
what a better place to win and get it done than in Houston, right down the street from NASA.
I love that one. And I'll go a step further, TC. I think if she were to win, like let's get her in a spaceship up into space, right? Like I think that should be a perk for
But that
NASA.
wouldn't be NASA. That would be Blue Origin or
Oh,
you know,
yeah.
Cody's
Okay.
guy.
Yeah, all the independent contractors that are out there. We
Co-
private space. Come on now.
All right, Cody, one more. What would be next on your list?
We've shouted her out a couple times this year already. She's hasn't won yet, but it's very hard to win. Of course, when Nelly wins everything, she has 4 top 10s on the year, and that is Sarah Schmezel. She did not play good here last year. Barely made the cut. Ended up taking. I think she finished like T75 or 76 or something like that because a ton of people made it through. But her year so far, like You want to talk about overall from round 1 to round 4 performance, nobody has finished higher than her outside of Nelly. And when you see these things and you start to see momentum start to pick up, and again, I know I'm caveating this with like, I know there hasn't been a win, but it's awfully hard when Nelly is doing it. Something's happening here with Sarah's game, and she's proven that she is no longer the player that she's been in years past, and that she is operating at a much higher level this year.
Yeah, in a Solheim Cup year too.
Mhm.
Can't argue with that. I know. Sneaky little season.
Randy, a lot of value on the board right now.
I know a lot of
Curious
Yeah.
to see where you go here.
I'm sure all our international listeners are apoplectic. You know, we haven't mentioned many foreign names.
Well, I mean, this is the thing. I understand that. TC shout out Lynn. I floated it out there, but I think
I shouted out six or seven.
Lynn's
national names.
Lynn's prep is like Lynn's not going to do it because her prep's all gobbly gooped up now because she couldn't find a gym during their off week. I apologize on behalf of Texas. I guess she couldn't find the exact gym that she's looking for, and ultimately, like, Lynn's not playing good. I touched on it last time. She went from playing a predominantly right to left ball flight. Now she's trying to hit these cuts everywhere. She's working through some things. So we'll see what the long game is here. But the Lynn that we were kind of expecting to see this year just isn't really happening yet. And you can say that for almost the majority of the foreigners that we really enjoy. Now, the one person that shocked the crap out of me at the match play, which kind of I understand this fits her mojo, was Carlota. And Carlota in Houston would be a very dangerous thing because man, you would just like she'd just be dragging this plow around everywhere, just slowing the entire tournament down. She's one of the slowest players in the world, but nobody is as deliberate as she is.
God, that
It's so
final
sick.
stroke play round of hers was just what a car crash that was.
Yeah.
Yeah, I guys, maybe the best value on the board is somebody that finished third the last time she teed it up, and that was back at the Ford Championship. She hasn't won a major in going on 10 years. She hasn't won on the LPGA since I believe 2019. What if Lexi were to win? What if this resurgence could ultimately end up in a major championship? I don't think it's going to happen. Listen, you guys know me. Am I saying it's going to happen? No. But if it were to happen, right? If it were to happen, I think that would be huge. I'm not
It
sure for
would.
who, not necessarily for
You know,
me, but I guess for the game.
I don't know if this is a big time event enough for Lexi. I mean, I don't know if she considers this a major. She might not show up.
That's true. That's true.
yeah. I'm gonna
Um,
abstain from the Lexi stuff.
okay.
You know,
I
I've
just don't
All right.
I've ridden hard for it. That's a stretch. I don't see that coming. But sure. So, I'm
No, but
happy
she's
to
got
be
a weird
surprised.
way of just like kind of being there and
Yeah.
then, as we've seen, like not getting it done. But
Do you know
She
who I
also
want to
missed the cut here
know?
last year.
Yeah. I like where's Allison been? Where she won US Women's Open?
yeah,
Like, come on, Allison Corpus. Like, let's show up here. Uh,
yeah.
who else? Celine. What's going on? I don't. She always plays so good at the beginning part of the year. She doesn't have to travel. I mean, I saw her up at Altus the other day grinding her tail off. But like, what's going on?
I would throw Runing Yin into there, right? She hasn't really been playing that well this year. Yuka
Allison
Sasso,
T4 here last year.
are
So
we ever going to get more from Yuka?
what's going on with Charlie? She hurt? She withdrew from
I think
She
she
was
was
sick.
sick.
Arizona.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think she was sick. Because I know she's not hurt because like every day she's working out on Instagram. So I know she's not hurt. I think she had bad flu. I thought about her, I think Charlie getting a major would be wonderful for just golf. It would be awesome.
Where'd she finish last year?
God, this leaderboard last year was so good. Lilia, Angel, Nelly, Allison Corpuz, Aylin Kim, Titakum, Valenzuela, Yang, Kang, and Jin Young Ko. And Corpuz was in the driver's seat.
Yeah.
She shot 74 final round.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's right.
Finished two back and kind of got it snatched from her. So
let's make some official predictions and then we'll get out of here. We have 3 categories. Let's talk about a favorite, quote unquote favorite that will not win or who you don't think will play well. We'll identify a dark horse or two and then we'll make a winner prediction. So TC, who's a favorite that you don't think will play well?
Is Angel considered a favorite?
She took second here
Hmm.
last year.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'd
So
give it to her.
yeah, I don't think this pains me to say, I don't think Angel's going to play well this week, just for the reasons that you mentioned earlier, Cody. I think it's kind of last week was that honeymoon phase of the season for her. Now it's like, all right, like you gotta put in the work to get the results out and get healthy, get right, and let's go from there. But expecting her to do good things later this summer, but it just feels like there's some she's kind of relying on a little bit of smoke and mirrors and magic a little bit right now.
Yep.
I think that's fair. I think that's fair. Cody?
Yeah, I'm gonna go with defending champion, Lily Vu. Just hasn't shown me much of anything really
Yeah.
this year. I think it's very safe to say her Rolex ranking is still very, very high, obviously, and deservingly so. But we got to see something. She's just not going to do it.
I'm selling off on Min, and I hate doing that, TC. I hate doing that. I just think hasn't been playing the best golf.
Yeah, I was expecting her to come out like firing this year. She said she was kind of burned out after last year and kind of reset, refreshed, and it just hasn't happened yet. So
Yeah, she's only. I mean, she's played 5 rounds
didn't play
stateside.
poorly at the match play though.
No, didn't play poorly. Finished tied for 15th, but missed the cut at the Ford Championship. Like she shot 76. That was like the easiest setup I think they're going to get all year. So I'll sell off on Minji this week.
She also she was in that crazy draw though when the wind was absolutely whipping and it was freezing cold. And
Okay, that's fair.
I'll say
Yeah.
this: the same thing happened to her last year at the Chevron too. Is that she played really good in her opening round, went out, fired 70, and then had her round 2 and 3, 75 and 77, which is when she was part of the group that was on the course, off the course, on the course. Okay, they finally pulled everybody off, and then it just dumped rain, and she had to go out there and like just mud it up, and ended up firing 75, 77. Then comes back around on Sunday and shoots final round 69 when it was just overcast, but luckily majority of the moisture was off the course. So I would say that there's more there from Minge that meets the eye, but definitely not, I think, where we expected her to be this year so far.
No. More fun category. Cody, who's a dark horse or two that you like?
Yeah, just who I called out. I think Sarah. I think it would be a phenomenal
Yeah.
story. Her play this year so far has truly been incredible. Like, let's see what you can do at a major championship.
TC?
Gosh, I think either I'm gonna say Gabby, just because I think Gabby's on the verge of big things, and got into this event via current year money list. Otherwise, she's not exempt into it. I'm picking Gabby. I think she's a hunter.
Flushing it right now too.
I think she's like, like I think not only is she a dark horse to win, I think she just wins. She's
Yeah.
like my pick to win.
That'd be awesome. God, I would love that. I don't know. Megan Kang's probably not a dark horse. Cody, I'm gonna go with your girl. She's had some good weeks. I call her your girl because you took a very bullish stand on her last year. Lucy Lee. I don't know why, but my reasoning is she made the cut here last year at Chevron, so she knows the course. She's had a modest bit of success. She's made all 5 cuts in all 5 events she's played this year. A couple of those are no cut events, but a couple top tens. I think this could be a week where it's like, oh shit, Lucy Lee on the front page of the leaderboard. So let's get winners and we'll get out of here.
I have one honorable mention that I want to put on there because nobody else touched her as
Okay.
dark horse. Of course, I'm going to go with our own young hitter LC. Has spent a ton of time in Houston, specifically in the Woodlands. She's very comfortable around there. It's a home game. Now, also, I'm afraid that those home game models might overweigh some things. The other thing, caddy concerns. This is Big John's first major championship that he's carrying the bag in. I hope he doesn't get nervous. I hope they're vibing, and what they've been doing so far is continues to work out. I know he's like on a 6 event trial period right now, trying to prove
Yeah.
his stuff. But I mean, I don't want to say a winner here, but like top 10 in the major, let's go. Like all day long. I think she's 13th or 12th right now on the Solheim Cup list. Keep going. Let's go.
Yeah, time to get on the horse for the Solheim Cup thing. I was walking around with Lauren and Juan at the Augusta National Women's AM on Saturday. He was telling me all sorts of stories from the caddy yard out there.
God, he
It's
must just
great.
be loving it. What a fun new adventure.
They
for
treat him
him.
like a rookie. Like, hey, go wet my towel for me.
Yeah.
I think they were trying to, and he was pushing back.
Like, fuck you. I'm a manager too, man. I don't have to do this.
Guys, is it too cute just to say Nelly's gonna win? Is
No.
anybody TC? Are you taking Gabby? Cody, are we taking Nelly?
I'm taking Gabby
You're taking Gabby. I'm
just
taking
because I like
Nelly.
the value.
I can't get anywhere else. Like it doesn't make sense to take anybody else.
Yeah, for sure. Not only based off current form, this week off leading in is huge for
Yeah.
Nelly.
She's enjoying beach time with her nephew. Like what a week to recharge.
I hope she doesn't pick up a bug though. You know, those kids carry everything around. We don't need that.
That's true. That's true.
But and also like it's not
She's
just
on ant patrol though.
Yeah,
Like,
true.
That's like the most harmless, you know.
Just gotta sanitize. After every touch, you gotta sanitize. It's just one of those things. It's not just like all the wins that she's had so far this year in the current form. She also played really good here last year. You know, put herself in the right position, didn't have what she needed to on that final round. I think she's gonna learn a ton from that and come in with a refreshed game plan. I was shocked when J Ray shouted out not her putting, but her ball striking and proximity to the hole as like her key to success. And from what I remember of the club at Carlton Woods, like there wasn't a crazy amount of danger out there. She's going to hit her ball straight off the tee. And if she just flags it all day and continues to putt the way that she's been, I don't know who's going to stop her.
Seems like a good recipe.
Mm-hmm.
I think too, I've just been so impressed by her press conferences as well. You know, after match play, we heard her after Palos Verdes talking about embracing the elements and playing with creativity and artistry. And then after match play, somebody was asked, I forget what the line of questioning was, but Nelly was saying, I love this game and I love to compete and I love to be out here going for titles, going for championships. And it's like, shit, man, that's all I want to hear, especially out of the best player in the world. And I don't know. It just seems like everything's kind of clicking. We go back to what we said earlier. Is it her maturing? Is it her golf game sharpening? Is it health? It's like, I think it's probably all of that. And she seems to be in a good place mentally. I cannot envision a world where she's not on the first page of the leaderboard. And Cody, to your point, if she just goes about her business, she's going to be awfully tough to beat.
Yeah.
So
I didn't realize I gave Delta a hard time after her Ford press conference because I'm like, we can't get the girl airplane tickets anywhere because she was talking about how much she was driving. I guess she did this very much intentionally. So she took those 7 weeks off. She went out to Palos Verdes, flew into LA and got a rental car. And it's just been her solo driving from LA to Arizona and then up to Vegas because
love that even more.
yeah, because she's never really had like a big solo road trip before, like in her entire life. And she just wanted to do it. And she's like, these 3 weeks line up perfectly and why not? And I'm like, you know what? Kudos for her. You know, you want to do a little discovery mission and go out and have fun and
Joshua Tree.
beat up the open road. Like, why not? I think that's so cool looking back on it. Now, overall sleep and everything, she probably could have used a couple hours here and there, but I mean, you're only young once, right? Go live your life.
Yeah. Well, thank you guys. Thank you everybody for listening. Enjoy the Chevron. Just as a reminder, watch Tron and Cody. Catch them on ESPN Plus feature group coverage this weekend.
Wild.
It's going to be awesome. And we will be here with a live show Friday evening at the conclusion of play and then again on Sunday. So happy major week. It's going to be an awesome week. Thank you, boys.
Cheers.
Randy, enjoy
Yeah.
Mexico. Please put a bug in Benjamin Salinas' ear.
Randy,
I
what's
will.
what's the beach drink of choice for you while you're sitting around the pool, whatever it is? What are you hitting the cabana for?
Great question. I think, God, beach drink.
You a
Daytime, I like something frozen. Give me a daiquiri. Give me a heck. I'll
pina?
even dabble with a pina. Yeah,
My
and then come
guy.
nighttime. Then come nighttime. I'm a dark and stormy guy.
Oh, all that sugar.
Woo.
Enjoy, buddy. You deserve it.
Thank you.
Later.
See you, boys.